Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming into today's session. The time is 11:04 a.m., not quite 11:05. So my name is Melvin Coleman. I'm the president and CEO of the Atlanta Black Chambers. And this is yet another powerful, informative session, something that we've done now for a few good years, these virtual opportunities. And we're going to continue to do this because it's efficient. It gives you an opportunity wherever you are to take advantage of the subject matter expertise that ABC members possess. So, yeah, we think it's a great way to deliver excellent content. And thank you for showing up. So today, I'm excited to introduce and to have Miss Lynette Furr of Eye Care Technology Geeks. Let me check to make sure that Lynette is behind the curtain. We spoke earlier, so she's got to be there somewhere. Yes,
I am here. Yes.
Yes, loving the background. That's just so right for you. I mean, that's awesome. You got some postcards, you got some whole marketing around you with that background. We'll talk about it. Well, this is this is MCAT, marketing communications. So it's advertising and technology. And here lately, I'm really struggling with the A for advertising. I actually want to. Well, I'll talk with the committee about that, but it's still marketing, communications, advertising, and technology. So, Lynette, I know you have the ability to share your screen and everything. So when you're ready, sis, I want you to open up and introduce yourself. But then, obviously, when you're ready to pull up your PowerPoint, we're going to get down into some very important information. And once again, the ABC is giving it to you, what you need. Okay, Lynette, I'm going to turn it over to you, sis.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Melvin, as always. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Let me know that you can see it. And can you see the screen?
Very nice. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. I am excited about this opportunity we have for the next hour and a half. I'm gonna go over some ways to, this is, for those who may not know, this is Cybersecurity Month, Awareness Month. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to speak to everybody. So therefore, we want to get started. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. First of all, you may have been, wanting to come out to see what we're talking about because it says, get the heck out of here and, keep from shutting down your doors. So that might have piqued your interest. So to tell you a little bit about myself, I have been living here in Atlanta for a little bit over 27 years, and I've been doing some type of technology in the technology industry 25 plus years. And I've worked for Fortune 500 companies, smaller companies, so the whole gamut. And some things about me that you may not be aware of is I love hearing the water at the beaches, but I don't like getting in the water. So that's something that is kind of like a fun fact about me. And I'm originally from Alabama, as I said before, and Roll Tide. All right, so let's get down to business. Today, we're going to talk about what you're going to walk away with is an overall overview of the digital environment and how we've moved from one area to another, where we were before years ago and where we are now. We're going to unmask the true risks of cybersecurity attacks, and we're going to talk about the core cybersecurity threats and also what to do next. So today, I want to make this very interactive. I have come up with some ways to do that, and I hope you will have your devices out and you would be able to participate in that. Now, we're going to go over the overall view of what the digital environment looks like. But first, I would like for us to start off with a quick pop quiz. So if you can get your phones out, hopefully you're not driving, you'll be able to scan this barcode. We're going to show you the pop quiz at first. So I want you to kind of think back to memory lane and look at these items here. I want you to kind of tell me which one of these out of these 5 items you could say was your first computer that you worked on. And as you can see, these are some pretty outdated devices. So your poll will come up. You can take it and scan this, and then you'll be able to complete the poll for me. So we'll wait a few minutes for that.
So Lynette, I'm driving, but I'm about to pull over, but how do I scan it with it being the picture that's actually on my screen?
Okay, so then just go to Slido, slido.com. And once you go to Slido, you would just put in this code 3630786.
Perfect, thank you.
No problem.
Hi, could you put up the choices again, please? Thank you.
Sure. So when you scan on it, it's going to bring up the choices in there. So just go on and scan the code and it should bring them up for you. You should see like the old school number 1. You should see old school number 2, old computer number 3, etc. And then we'll just see who's saying which ones they could be more familiar with.
Yeah, I see it.
So some are saying they're familiar with number 2. Some are saying they're familiar with number 3. So we got some people that's all around. I like it. Nobody's saying the number 5 yet. All right, well, I appreciate you for that. That was wonderful to go through that stage. So now let's look at the way the technology has advanced over a period of time. If you see this chart, you'll be like, oh, wow. So from back in the 1900s, as we can tell from what we just did with the survey we just did, computers has come a long way. And every single day now, it's not an option for us to be determining if we're going to use some kind of technology gadget, if you will. We are often using it every day. And sometimes if you think about it, if you leave the house and you left your cell phone and you're almost to where you need to be, would you be one of those ones that'll turn around and come all the way back to go get that device that you left at home, that cell phone? Or would you just say, oh, well, I left it, I'll get it when I get back? So that's how important technology is to us these days. So let's go and let's see how we've come along. So in 2000, as you see, we had this technology here. There were more so the flip phones. And in 2010, you could see we kind of went away to more the retina display for Apple. And in 2015, Bill Gates talks about, the fear of AI. And then in 2019, we have the 5G to come out. And now most people have heard of ChatGPT, which is OpenAI, and everybody is using that. So that's how quickly, we've embedded ourselves with technology. So you may want to know, well, where are you going with this and why are you telling me all of this? Well, as I stated before, all of us in one way or another have multiple devices. Some of us have 5 or 6 or 7 devices at home on a regular basis. So with this being said, we need to be secure. We need to figure out what does that entail. So over 65% of the world is being protected. We need to make sure they're protected. Their data is protected. And in 2023, nowadays, we have to make sure that not only are we protected ourselves, but we are protecting our clients as well, for those of us who are business owners. So you see some statistics here. The average American has more than 3 devices, and there's been many investments in digital transformation. That's $2.8 trillion they expect it to be by 2025. So on a regular basis, approximately 75% of the executive plans to increase staffing for digital security roles. So it's very, very important that we take this serious. So why should you care about this? Well, I just mentioned it. We know in everyday life, we're using technology in one way or another. And so now what we want to do is ask you one more question here. So if you were hacked, let me rephrase the statement. When you get hacked, what will you do? Now you may say, well, Lynette, why are you saying when you get hacked? Well, it's no longer if, it's when. And how would you fare in that? Would you shut down your business? What would you do on that? So scan this code for me and answer that question for me. And let's see what everybody's saying. Got 5 participating now. Call someone for help. Get some help. Okay, that's good. Freak out. I like that one. File insurance claim. All right. Call Lynette. Yes, I like that. That must be a client of mine or someone that knows me. Hack them back. Okay. That'll be interesting. Unplug, then call for assistance. Perfect. That is good. Unplug, shut it off, call for assistance. If you see the screen come up, definitely do that. So whoever said that, that's an awesome plan. Figure out how to tell my clients. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for participating. See, we got one more trying to put theirs in. So we see that, everybody has some ideas about what to do, but let's make sure we all on one accord. All right, so unmasking the true risks of cybersecurity attacks. Okay, what I want you to do is envision this picture here. So imagine yourself coming out from a long day of working out, and you come out and you see your car looking like this. What would you say? How would you feel? Put in the chat what you would say. How would you feel in this case? I can say for myself, I felt like violated. I felt like, why me? You may ask, well, why are you bringing this up? Well, this is physical damage. We can see the physical damage in this because we see the remnants of someone breaking in. Whereas in cybersecurity, we can't, right? We need to know what's going on. We don't know what we don't know because we haven't looked to see what we have underneath the hood, if you will. So with cybersecurity crimes continuing to rise every day in the US, we need to figure out, well, why are we such greater risk, individuals and businesses? So let's take a look at some of the things that we see in the news every day. MGM, everybody knows about that, 8.4 million at this point, whenever they announced it, that they lost every single day. These firms, we have some people that will say, well, I'm too small, will it be me? Could it be happen to me? Well, we had an accounting firm here that got hacked, fairly small, small to medium-sized firm. And then they had other clients that they serviced, which was the healthcare. And so as a result, when they got hacked, then the medical healthcare company was hacked as well. So it passes itself on, unfortunately. And I'm not sure if you heard about Clorox. They had a cybersecurity hack as well. And, as you can see here, it's always an ongoing issue. So I have a pop quiz for us. we have 3 questions here. How many small businesses are affected by breaches every day? I want you to start thinking about that. Then you're gonna have a code to put these answers in. What percentage of breaches originate from inside a company, meaning on the inside, not somebody externally? And what percentage of businesses are too small to need to be targeted? Here's you go. So here's your quiz. So the first one should be how many small businesses are affected by breaches every day? And in the end, for participating, we have a special gift for the one who participate the most and wins. All right. We see we have some people have responded. How many small businesses are affected the most? Okay. And here we go. So let's see here. We have a few who responded. And so this is what the response is for that. And we want to say, what's the percentage of breaches originating from the inside? And then I'll cheat and tell you the answer. So we had some people to participate in that. All right, so if you didn't guess it, 6,000 small businesses are affected by breaches every single day. 52% of companies are breached originating from the inside. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean by inside. Inside is, recently I was at an event and I was talking to a client of mine, and she was telling me her accountant had gotten hacked recently. She said they were hacked internally. So they filed taxes for others, and they had filed some taxes, and somebody internally filed taxes in other people's name. And so as a result, this causes her a lot of headaches because now all of her clients have to get PIN numbers to file their taxes. So does it happen often to smaller businesses? Yes. Are we read about in the news mostly? No, because we don't make the news, but that doesn't mean that we're not, small businesses are not being attacked by cybersecurity. And so the answer for the last one is 0. No business is too small to be targeted. So hopefully those were the answers that you provided. So why is this happening more often? Well, data is valuable. People can get your information. They could just do it for the heck of it. Sometimes they just hack, just be hacking. Sometimes they hack because they want to take your information and pass it along and sell it on the dark web to other people for more money. So that's the reason why they do it. And so now what we need to do is figure out, well, how do we know what type of hacks to be out there? And we want to check this out. So next, we're going to talk about there are many security threat types. And since we have limited time here today, I want to go ahead and give you some ideas on some of the ones we have that we're going to go over today. And Melvin, if there's anything going on in chat or whatever, any questions that need to be asked, please, let me know. Okay, so we have the ones that we're going to go over today are these 5. So we got phishing, smishing, quishing, ransomware, insider threats, DDoS attacks, and snack attacks. So with these here, we want to find out. I'm going to have a quick quiz for you, so we're going to see if I did a great job. Okay, so we're going to go over these.
Well, before you do the quiz, are we about to do the quiz now?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, because I don't know how to go to the next question. After I do number one, I can't go to the next one. So will you explain that before we do
Okay.
the next quiz?
Okay. Sure. Were you able to hit the submit button at the bottom of your
The
screen?
bottom of your screen?
For the first one, yes, but then I didn't know how to go on to number 2 or 3. So I only did number 1.
Okay. So
Okay. So
you should be able
you
to
should
hit
be able to hit the
submit button to
submit.
one. And are you said you're on a computer, on a phone, a cell phone?
I'm in the car. I'm on the phone.
Okay. Okay, so when we get to the next one, let me know if it's still stuck at the original one, okay?
Will do. Thank you, Lynette.
All right, you're welcome. All right, so everybody's heard of phishing. I'm pretty sure you have. The number one reason why people are hacked is because we're clicking on something that we think is okay, but it's not. We think it's coming from somebody we know. So we click on it and then we find out later that that's not the case. Now, why are there phishing, smishing, and quishing? We're going to go over that here shortly, but they're ultimately trying to steal some of your personal information, credit card information, your passwords, so that they can do some of the things I just mentioned before, go and do things that they shouldn't be doing with our information, right? Ransomware, that's same. Somebody is exchanging some kind of payment for the information they've stolen. Insider threats, that's us having the employee, like I said earlier, who decided to file taxes in other people's name. And as a result, they had to have, many issues with their current clients and could possibly lose those clients since they have now been hacked. DDoS attacks, that's generally speaking where if you, let's say you go to the bank website and then you sign into the bank website and then you notice that it looks different, but you don't think anything of it. So let's say it's Bank of America, you go in, you sign in. Once you sign in, you click on it and you determine that, wow, this is not the right one. But you only determine that later because you went in and pay a bill and later on you find out it was the wrong site. So somebody else created a Bank of America site lookalike and then they diverted it to themselves. And as a result, this is a form of DDoS attack. Okay, how about the snack attack? So we want to see if on the snack attack over a period of time, these are smaller breaches comprising of the entire system and forming a larger coordinated attack. Out of these 5 attacks I just mentioned, I want to know which one of you think that one of them is not real. Okay. So let me know now if you are able to scan it. Is it Janelle? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, that's correct. Let me see here. Get ready. 9 users have already joined. So I think it's about to pop up. I think last time that's the way it did it. Or do I press something?
So once you put your name you should be able to continue.
So it's saying get ready, Janelle. 9 users have already joined. But I thought that's when the poll popped up before because I answered one question, but now I don't have a poll pop. Oh, wait. Okay, now, okay, it just popped up. But it popped up only for number 4. Oh, okay, that is what that's the only one. Okay, I see. That's the only one you have. So it did just pop up. Let me see if it'll pop up for the next question.
Okay, so which one y'all think that is not true and it's not real? We're saying that the majority said snack attacks, and we have some that said DDoS. All right. Well, the correct answer is snack attacks. That's a fake one. So far, that's our Congratulations for those who got the right answer. So here is the snack attacks is really like a song. It's a kid's song, right? So I just threw that in there just so you'll, have a little fun with it. But this is not a real attack. This is a fake attack. So I tried to fool you. I'm sorry on that one. All right. So now let's move on. We want to know about why small businesses need to understand the basic cybersecurity threats. There are many people who have many different clients, and you want to make sure that you can communicate to your client that, hey, I'm making sure that we're secure so that we make sure that you're secure. And what does that mean? Well, here you have 5 areas here that you want to focus on. You want to make sure that your cybersecurity as a business is an enabler. For example, you make sure that you stand out against your competitors because you have someone supporting you and making sure that you're secure. So whenever you're talking with your potential new clients, you can say, well, we're making sure that we are secure as a bank would be. And then therefore they'll be like, oh really? Okay, well, that's great news. And somebody else may not have that same thing in common. And then you also want to make sure that your social engineering tactics, when people are trying to get into your systems, you want to keep that in mind. You want to promote the best cybersecurity practices internally, meaning that, you have some cybersecurity awareness training for yourself as well as your vendors and also for your employees, obviously. You want to make sure that cybersecurity for everyone, you're responsible, and each person won't say, oh, well, that's for IT. They take care of that for me. No, it's everybody's responsibility to take care of cybersecurity because it's a collective effort. So you want to make sure that you have that mentality and that culture within your business. All right, so now back to the basics. So let's talk about these areas a little bit more. Let's dive into each of these. So with the phishing, I want to show you some examples here. So I have a lot of clients let us know, oh, well, is this a true phishing event? Did you send this to us? So what we've taught them to do is to take a look closely at the email address. You see here at the top, it says office-365@security.onmicrosoft.com. The security piece .onmicrosoft.com is not legit. So sometimes when someone sends you an email, you may be expecting that email from them, but if somebody knows that you're expecting that email, they may do some kind of phishing attempt to send you an email and you get ready to pay an invoice, for example, and they send you that email and you say, oh, okay, this is coming from Lynette, so I was expecting that, so let me just pay this invoice. But you don't take a look and see that maybe the O in Microsoft is a 0, or maybe if your domain name has a 1 in it, they may have created a domain name that has an I in it, but you won't know that it's an I versus the 1 because you're not paying close attention. So it's key to look at each area of an email before you respond and or click. Usually we say think before clicking, right? So you'll see here the customers too generic, invoices due now. Generally speaking, phishing is going to be something that they're rushing you to do quickly. And as a result, you'll have a scenario like this. Recently, I saw an individual on my iPhone that came up a few weeks ago. There was a lady that was 70 years old, and she was hacked out of $666,000 of her hard-earned money. And they told her that they were IT support, that they were Microsoft. So you will get these issues on a regular basis. And I want everybody to be aware that you want to make sure that you think before you click. You may even call the person and say, hey, did you send me this link? Yes, I sent it. And what time did you send it? I sent it at such and such time. Then you click. But other than that, I would say you make sure that you think before you click. All right. Smishing, that's similar to SMS or texting phishing. So you're going to get a text. 99% of the time, people are getting texts from people saying they're IRS, or they're saying that they are, is there something for your refund? They may be saying something about, oh, I need you to do this immediately. And so anytime you see something such as that, as you see here, FTC Commission saying it's a scam, they will never send you anything in text. They will never call you. They will never come by your house. All of these things are issues that are ongoing and more worrisome and cumbersome, not just for us through businesses, but also individually. As I just mentioned before, there's a lot of senior citizens are being attacked on a regular basis. And it's our job to help them understand that it is phishing or spishing, and we need them to not be taken advantage of. Quishing, you may say, well, what is quishing? That's a new one for me. Well, it's about the QR code. So as you've been doing today, you know the code that you've been using for me is legit. But recently, I want to say about a few months ago now, Atlanta had informed us that there was, at the parking lots downtown in various places, people are going and replacing the QR codes on the what should be a legitimate code for you to park. They go in, they take some tape, they put it on the back of, they cut out their own code and they put some tape on the back of it and tape it on top of the code that you think that you're clicking on to pay your, in this case, pay your parking. And as a result, you're hacked, right? You're going to some other site that they directed you to, and you don't know it. And now they're in your phone and in everything else that you have. So you want to be extremely careful on that. Any questions on so far?
I've got a question. So if that happens, what will be a sign? Like if you do the QR code, because I know with me coming to Atlanta a lot, I have done that before. More recently, I go to the website, but I have done the QR code. So what would be something that would happen that might signify to me that you've probably been hacked?
Well, usually you will see, let me go back to the slide. So you would see when you go and click on it, the little code that comes up, the little shortcut that comes up and takes you to a site, you want to make sure it's legit. Let's say you're parking at Laz Parking here in Atlanta. Okay, but when you click on it and you see the little code that come up, you can see it really close. Before you click on it, I suggest you kind of look at it to see if it's actually going to Laz Parking. If it says it's going to Laz Parking, they know that it's illegitimate. And once you click on it, you want to make sure that it's going to the link that it.
So it's not like how basically, you know, at the gas station, how people were putting those things in the card where you're still putting your card in and it'll allow you to pay, but they steal information off. It'll direct you to somewhere very different is what you're saying.
Correct. So it's redirecting you. They created their own QR code, and they are now at this point redirecting you to where they want you to go so that you can put in your information to pay. But now they're stealing your credit card information because you're not paying for the parking, you're paying something else.
Got it. Thanks.
No problem. Great question. Thank you for that. All right, so let's move on to ransomware. As we saw earlier, when you see this on your computer, we had someone call in to support recently where they were on social media and they clicked on some link by mistake and it took them to something similar to this, saying, you know, your personal files are encrypted, it'll be destroyed. It makes all kind of noise. And then also it'll come up to say, you know, call Microsoft. If you don't call Microsoft, we are already in your system, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so what you want to do is, as someone has said before, you just shut the computer off. Don't click on anything, shut it off totally. Illegal way, shut it down. It says, are you sure you want to shut it down? Yes, shut it down. So shut it down totally. And depending on where you are, if you're in and some people have a business where they go into a brick and mortar building, and some people are working virtual. Either which way it goes, shut it down. And if you do have it attached to your network, meaning a physical cable connected to your computer, then you want to take that out. So you want to do that, isolate it, and then call whoever you have to support you, and they can walk you through everything else. Check to see if there's been any damage done. That's the best solution. Also, a lot of people are getting hit for ransomware for Bitcoin. So when they steal your data, they say, well, if you don't pay this amount in Bitcoins by such and such time, then we're going to keep your data encrypted and you will not be able to have your data. And so in the future, in a few slides from now, we'll talk about what you should do to help with this. Okay. But I'll give you a hint. It's called backups, having a backup. Okay. So this is kind of down here, it's kind of talking about, what happens whenever people are doing ransomware, malware is received via spam, you get a download, malicious code encrypts all your files, then you'll see this notice, something like these two notices, and then you'll need to pay the ransomware to get your access to your data back. So
Lynette, are you taking questions? Question now. Philip, did you have a question?
I do. Yeah, this is a great presentation. Thank you so much. So if this is actually something that happens, what's the benefit in shutting down the computer immediately?
Okay, so when you shut it down immediately, most people, what they'll do, they'll have some more pop-ups and you're clicking on that, like the little X, you're thinking that you're clicking on the little X to close it down. Well, in essence, 99% of the time when you click that X, you're giving them access in even more deeper to your computer. So the benefit of you shutting it down is it does no more damage at all at this point. You just shut it off and then call whoever, you have to support you and let them walk you through what to do next.
Thanks.
Great question. Thank you. All right. So insider threats, we talked about that earlier a little bit. This could be all kind of insider threats. You can have somebody who's oblivious that they're being an insider, that somebody is talking to them, asking them questions. Where do you, what time of the day do you come in the office? When do y'all close? And they're not even having a clue that this is social engineering and someone is asking these questions for a reason. Neglect, insider, or negligent, rather. You negligent because, someone comes in behind you and they badge in and someone else badges in, they don't have a badge, you let them in, and then you're not paying attention. So that could be part of neglect. So you let somebody inside. Malicious insider, somebody who pissed off because you let them go and they found out you're gonna let them go before you let them go, and now they're doing things maliciously on purpose to affect your business and could potentially shut your business down. And professional insiders, that's somebody who's professionally trying to get insider information to shut you down. So 95%, as I said before, of hacks are due to human error because of something we're clicking on 99% of the time, I say, right? So it's either going to be email, and oftentimes we forget even like little simple things like your Wi-Fi. We have a Wi-Fi and we work from home more than ever because of COVID, and you have your home environment, office environment, or you're on the road, and you may have not changed your administrator password for your Wi-Fi at home, or you may not have a segregated Wi-Fi, meaning that you have one for guests and then one for your office. These are simple things that you want to keep in mind, even in your, if you have a virtual office or if you have a physical office. These are things that would help with preventing insider threats. All right, DDoS attack. Talked about that a little bit. This is giving you more of a visual of what somebody is, spending their time. Instead of doing something positive, they're spending their time doing something negative. They're sitting out, hanging out, trying to figure out, hey, what can I do? How can I get in? How can I get their information? And so this gives you more of a physical, visual area here. So those are some of the attacks we talked about. We want to move on, and now we're going to talk about, there are 16 sectors that the US has said that are most important. And as you can see, this is the majority that you would think of. Your financial services, information technology, government facilities, chemicals, healthcare. The number one healthcare is the number one statistics of people being hacked. That's what I found recently. Number two is financial services. And all of us are here in different capacities. We all have different types of businesses. So for our sake today, we're going to focus on financial services. So on the next few slides, we're going to talk about financial services. So keep that in mind. But we want to keep in mind that since these are the most important sectors, that's why the government is making sure that we make sure other people's data or other people's personal information or other people's social security numbers or other people, whatever that might be for your business, is secure. All right, so now let's talk about Federal Trade Commissioner, FTC for short. The regulators have decided that they do not want to continue to have people, clients, patients, customers, however you recognize your particular, whatever you call your clients, they don't want them to be having their information exposed to hackers. So they said, well, let's put some regulations in place. And this time we want to put some regulations into place that will actually work, that people will actually do things, right? That they won't just say, hey, I need to have this, and then they don't put it into place. So FTC, what did they do? They said, but before we do that, one more, well, not one more, but a quick poll. So I want you to take the survey, and you'll see in here, I want to kind of get an idea of what you feel before we start talking about the different safeguards. What FTC say we need to have in place. So you have the first question, are you familiar with cybersecurity compliance regulations that are relevant to your industry? So we have some that are saying yes, that's good. And the next question, do you know what steps you need to take to be compliant? So half are saying yes, it's half are saying somewhat. Okay, that's good. We have the next one. Has your business ever experienced a cybersecurity incident or breach? The majority are saying yes. Okay. Do you provide cybersecurity awareness training for yourself, for your vendors, for your contractors, and your employees? Notice I did not say just for yourself or just for your employees or your staff or your contractors, because most people forget about the vendors. Now, I want you to not forget about vendors because they could be the number one reason why you can get hacked. You can have everything else good to go, but then you forgot about the vendors. So if you remember back to years ago when Target got hit, that was because of a small business vendor, HVAC, that they used that forgot to turn off their information, their access, and as a result, the hackers were able to get in, and that caused much damage. So those are the things we want you to consider. All right, so as I said before, we're gonna talk about the financial services. And since they're the number one targeted, we're gonna talk about that. But what I want you to do as I'm going through this is just kind of think about your industry and what you may or may need to do to make sure that you're protected as well. All right, so we see here, why would most people or hackers want to go after financial services? Well, Federal Reserve Power says he's warned, cyber tech a number one threat, especially since COVID. I don't know why. Well, I guess nobody had anything to do, so hacking was what they did. But it's elevated even more since then. And then as we see, the average cost of data breach in the financial sector is $5.72 million. And as I showed you earlier, in the MGM industry, you see they paid 8 point something million. So we want to think about these things more so for us because we're smaller. So that's why I asked you the question earlier. If, what would you do if you get hacked? Would you be shut down? Do you have $100,000 sitting in the bank ready to pay? Or do you have cybersecurity insurance? These are some things I want you to start thinking about as I go through the presentation. All right, so now financial service institutions, as we can see here, we have some more statistics showing us why it's very important for us to be secure, to have the basic web app attacks that are being adversaries successfully gaining access without much issue, without much effort. And when we say without much effort, we're saying even with Verizon, I can say this, I have Verizon, well, one of my services, and I get emails or texts from them, and I had one to come through to me that wasn't legit. So when I get an additional text from Verizon, I'll never click on anything. I never click on anything. If I need to know if it's something they sent me, I call them or I go online to their website and check in that way. So these are some things you want to keep in mind. So example of some financial services, small to mid-sized businesses, as we know, it's usually called small to mid-sized businesses, SMBs is what we call that for short. You always getting some kind of issue. You see this gentleman here, he's saying, oh man, everything is coming to me at once. What do I do? So this is what we want to avoid when it comes to any industry, but we're obviously talking about the financial services here. 2023 data breach report for small businesses. Ransomware is continuing to target all sectors. You may ask yourself, well, why are they targeting us? I thought we were too small. Aren't we too small? Why are you targeting us? Well, because 99% of the time you target a smaller company because they don't have the support that technology and larger companies have. They don't have a cybersecurity team. They don't have cybersecurity awareness on a regular basis. They don't have these things put in place where you have to have these things in place. Any more questions that I'm missing? I'm gonna stop.
Yes.
Hi, Philip.
Hi. Listen, great information. In regard to cybersecurity insurance, we have a $1 million professional liability insurance policy. And would I approach our existing insurance company to look into a cybersecurity insurance policy, or is there a special or specific insurance provider I should approach for that type of coverage?
Excellent question. So it depends on your industry and
Financial services.
What was it? Financial services?
Yeah.
Okay. What type? Do you mind telling what type of financial services?
Yeah, we work with mortgage products. So we're working with non-public information of all of our homeowners.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, we're going to move to that section here shortly. I'm going to show
Okay.
you some things about that. So in essence, for time, we may, just meet afterwards.
That's fine.
But what I can say is that even if those of us, because a lot of times we have cybersecurity insurance, and we think we have what we think we have, but we don't know what we don't have. So I would say if you already have insurance, I would go back to the broker that you have and you would sit down with them. Recently, I met, we have some cybersecurity, and I met with, there's some here on the call, if not mistaken, and we're going to team up to help businesses know more about what they should and shouldn't have. And then a lot of times what we fail to do is companies come to us and say, okay, fill out this form. And this form is telling my cybersecurity insurance broker that we're safe in these areas. We got backups. We have multi-factor authentication. We have firewalls in place. We have blah, 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 blah. So if that is not the case and you fill out those forms and then you have a breach, then in essence, you could potentially have an issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure that whoever your technical team is, if you don't have that, then maybe, see about getting one in place. but you have them to do an assessment to see what you have. And then once they do an assessment, because as we know, when you're doing anything with cybersecurity, it's a holistic approach. So you have to have multiple ways to protect yourself. So you want to find out if your broker, whoever you have already, if you just want to sit down with them and talk and see what do you have. And then you want to compare that, and you may want to find another, find someone else to kind of compare them to make sure that you're covered for the amount that you could potentially be sued for. Okay.
Thanks.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and we can have a sidebar because it seems like it's going to be some extended conversations that we need to have. So I don't want to dominate your time, but I appreciate it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so here we go. Also with the financial services again, we're coming in here and talking about more additional breaches. Now, we want to talk about what did the FTC do? What did they do to their rule and regulation? Okay, so because people weren't really listening, they said, because they tried this with the HIPAA. And the HIPAA standards, some people were abiding by it, some people weren't. They weren't totally protecting consumers' data. So therefore, they said, well, we're not going to do what we did on that. In 2001, the FTC decided they was going to change this rule and make sure that it is more strict and that they could protect the consumers. So what they decided they would do is they said, okay, well, let's figure out how we do that. What do we do? What do we say? And how do we make sure that companies know that they need to be protecting each of their clients? Now, we're going to talk about a little bit about the violation of it and what ranges and files, what kind of ranges you would have to pay, anywhere from 10,000 to 100, depending on what type of business you have. And so it could vary for each business. Again, well, I didn't say this, but I'm not an attorney. So if, these are some of these things you want to find out, you may have to talk to a compliance attorney, or you may have to talk to an attorney as a whole, business attorney, to ask these things, or tax attorney. Okay. So the gross breaches can reach up, to 5 years in prison. So if you are negligent, I read an article the other day with this company in the UK was negligent. They told them that they had an issue, but they didn't release it to their clients until 3 or 4 months later. And as a result, this cost them more and more money. And so these are things that we want to keep and consider. So FTC is not going to come out to your place and say, hey, is Lynette doing what she's supposed to be doing? No, they're not going to enforce it reactively, right? Or not proactively. But whenever there's someone who reports you, or you're like, if somebody internal reports you, or like a whistleblower, or if you get a breach, that's when FTC regulators will come in to your firm and they will have you on a very strict microscope and seeing what did you put in place? What do you not have in place? Did you follow the safeguard rules? And if you say no, well, I didn't know about it, well, that's not going to help you out, because ignorance is no excuse for the law. So this is kind of like the standards of what they would do. And here's a little bit more about what the FTC safeguard rules are. So it's saying that they expanded this really in 2023. At the end of last year, they said, well, okay, we wrote it in 22 years ago. And then the end of last year, they expected us to have it in place, everybody to have it in place. Well, obviously they got some complaints and said, well, we need a little more time. So they gave us to June of this year. So now June is gone and we need to have these things in place. So now we can't say, well, we didn't know, because we know. Or if you don't know, we need to know, right? Which is why we're having this webinar today. So FTC, it says it requires institutions to develop, implement, and maintain a comprehensive information security program. The program must be tailored to your particular size, your complexity in your institution, as well as the nature of the scopes of all of the activities that you do within your business. So there are 9 rules that we will cover. There are 9 standards they want you to have in place. Now we're going to go over this, and this can come up with many questions. So we can answer the questions, but we want to make sure, we, in efforts with time, we may have to do it offline. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So the first 9 rules: designate a qualified individual, conduct and document risk assessment, apply a compliant cybersecurity controls, validate cybersecurity controls. Okay, so what is a qualified individual? It's an individual who you have identified that usually would be similar to me, like sometimes they say virtual CSO, virtual certified, or cybersecurity security officer. Okay, so you want to have somebody like that in place to make sure and ensure that you have all these rules that they say. Now, obviously, I'm giving you the overview, and we can go in more details if we have a one-on-one, where I'll show you details of each of these items. Conduct and document risk assessment. So these things are not just a one-time and done. These are items that you have to keep doing on a regular basis. Why? Because as we just stated, cybersecurity hackers don't care about, you did it 3 months ago, or you did it 5 months ago, or 6 months ago, or a year ago. And it determines the amount of times you need to do it is determined by the type of financial service that you are. And when we say financial service, we don't mean like most people think a financial service is just a bank. That's not the case. If you have any private information, mortgage, if you tax preparer, accountant, if you bookkeeper, any information that you have that is private and not to the public, you could be fined by this FTC safeguard compliance rule if you don't have it in place. So you want to apply the compliant cybersecurity controls, and they will give us a list of that as well. And then you validate those. So you want to validate it every so often, because you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know if you've done a assessment this month, and then next month you've gotten hacked, or you let somebody in, you clicked on something by mistake. So those are the things you want to keep in mind. The next few of them, 5, 6, and 7, 8, we want to develop training and auditing program. You have to have that. You want to monitor your service providers. Service providers could be vendors or contractors, whatever that looks like to you and your business. You want to make sure that you don't have the issue like I mentioned before with Target. You want to develop continuous improvement cadence, meaning that on a regular basis, you're continuing to make sure that you're doing the best you can by being compliant and keeping your clients, patients, customers, whatever you call your clients, data safe. You want to document an incident response plan. You want to provide annual reporting to a senior leadership. So that could be somebody internal. It could be yourself. If it's just yourself in your business, then you need to have a conversation with yourself. But at least have these things in place, because this would make you be compliant. And if something were to happen, because remember I said it's not when you get, if you get hacked anymore, it's when you get hacked. What do you do? So with having these things in place, then you have said, okay, FTC, I've done what I can do. And then they won't find you if you've done the things that they asked you to do. Any questions on that right now? We'll move on.
So are you saying if you did what they told you to do and you still got hacked, that you don't, you do have an issue because you still got a breach, but you don't incur the violation, the fines? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Welcome. All right. So what should you take away from this? We talked about the threat, we talked about the risk, we talked about the action. So we want to make sure that small businesses realize cybersecurity is increasing, frequent, complex, proactive protection needed to be in place for us at all times. It's a necessity. All right, so some of the ways that I want to talk about that I want this to keep going. Some of the ways I want to talk about that you should use to protect yourself. One, I know everybody has heard this about the password manager. Okay, you want to have some type of passwords prevention in place. Most people use, there's a statistics, 5 passwords across the board between their business and personal. Now, imagine if you're on social media and you use the same password for personal and business, and Facebook get hacked, which they did, multiple people getting hacked on a regular basis. And then as a result, not only is your personal in jeopardy, but your business is in jeopardy as well because you're using the same password. So if you do not have what we call a password or credential management, because it's not just for passwords, you also can use this type of program for other things. All your other personal information, you could upload that there and it can be safe as well. So we recommend that you have passwords. Prevention is key. You want to automatically change them every 3 to 6 months. You want to have strong passwords, at least 12 characters or less. 12 characters or more. Usually you can have up to 20 for most passwords. You also want to have, as everybody always knows, special character. And then you want to remember that the simple things it's telling you here about your Wi-Fi thermostats, your baby monitors, home security. People don't think about those areas as well, but you want to make sure that those are password protected as well. So never allow your browser to save passwords or auto login. I say that again. Never allow your browser to save your password or auto login. You say, well, Lynette, why? Well, if you have a password manager, which we recommend highly, and it'll show you a couple here in a second, we want to make sure that you are safe in that way and have your password manager to keep all of your credentials, as opposed to using the one that comes with Google, Edge, or whichever browser you use. And why do I say that? Because if I have the password to your computer and I am wanting to see what passwords you've saved to your browser, all I have to do is put that password in there and I'll have everything I need to continue to do whatever I need to do that I shouldn't be doing to you and your systems. Okay. And people say, well, what about passphrase? Why we recommend you use passphrase or string. And I would go even a step further. If you love, as you see here, Pam flies to Hawaii every winter. So her password would be PFITHAWEV win, something to that effect. So you can do it that way, and you want to have a way to remember it without having to write it down. So let's say you hate rock and roll. Well, instead of you putting the password that I love rock and roll, that would be something that a hacker would not remember because you don't really like rock and roll. But now that you made your password, I love rock and roll, you're hacking your hack, right? It's hacking the passwords, putting things in there that you don't think about. And whenever you're signing up for different sites, I want to recommend that you do not put in your true security. That's another hack. You don't want to say if your baby is called Alexa, you don't want to put Alexa in there. Oh, stop, Alexa, stop. Can't say that word. So keep those things in mind. Any questions on that? So we see people have passwords and it says passwords. We've done assessments and 560 plus passwords we've seen, social security numbers, date of birth, all kind of things we found when we do these assessments. And 99% of the time, people never change their password. They keep it the same, or they go to the end and say, like here you see password 2020. Okay, great. Now I'm going to change it to password 2021, 2022, 2023. Or I keep putting a number on the end. That's not a good idea. As you can see, you get F's for those type of passwords. Okay. So keep those things in mind. You want to have it something different. Make it hard for the hacker to hack you. All right, these are some examples of password managers that we recommend, although I have a caveat, okay? We obviously, take care of our clients by allowing them to have a security as a whole. We don't just give them one thing or two things, we look at it a holistic approach. But we had LastPass and we fired them because they got hacked the last 2 to 3 times within the last year and a half. So we got rid of them. So if you have LastPass, I recommend that you consider getting something else. All right, this is very important. I want to show you this. Most people don't know about this. When you go to a website, there is something called verified sources. And you see this little lock at the top here, visit secure sites with this lock. Take a few seconds and look at it. When you go to a site the next time, make sure that it's secure. When I said to you earlier about the Bank of America being a fake Bank of America website, believe it or not, I mean, people do it all the time. You want to make sure that it is truly a real one. So you want to come here and take a look at this right here. You see where it says to the left, it says that lock that you see there. And then on the right, you see over there where it says it's not secure. You want to make sure that you're looking at all aspects of this. If you go to a site and you do not see a lock, I do not recommend you, operating on that website. I recommend definitely don't put any of your personal information in there. But I would recommend you coming out the site and letting them know, hey, you might want to get your security updated. So these are some things that I wanted to make sure that you were aware of. Is that something that anybody knew already?
Yes,
Everybody?
I knew,
Yeah, I
but
knew.
wondering, when you have an internet protection, like and antiviral and all that kind of stuff, some of those packages actually will prevent you from going into a site if it's not secure. And they do also have password collection that they do as well. He's saying that's not strong enough. Because I have, for example, I have Kaspersky.
Right. Okay. So you go to the website, you're saying, or is this whenever your
Well, with
antivirus software?
my antivirus and internet software protects you from doing all kinds of things. So
Okay. Gotcha.
if you type in a website that's not secure, it's going to block you from going to it.
Oh, that's
So,
perfect. That's good. And who am
yeah,
I speaking to now? Who's speaking now?
I'm sorry. Hi, my name's Gwen
Gwen.
Glover.
Okay. I
I
couldn't
live
see.
in Savannah.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay, no worries. Okay, Gwen. That's a perfect, that's a good question. So the answer to you, short answer is yes, that is good to have. But we want to make sure that we have, as best as possible, a commercial grade. And so antivirus is good and it will block some things, but we suggest to our clients that you get more of a robust type of antivirus software. And usually you can get that
Absolutely.
through somebody. And what'll happen is I don't know if y'all seen the commercials where they talk about Sentinel-1. So that's more of a commercial grade. And then it will also not just see things when you're actively going to the websites and things like that, but it'll also in the background be performing like AI type activity to see constantly, is there anything else going on when you're maybe not using your computer as well. But
Yes,
that Kaspersky is
absolutely.
good. I've had that before, so it's definitely obviously good, and better than having obviously nothing.
Okay, great.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, you answered the question. I was just, it's just been popping up all through your discussion that you got to have something on your system too that helps you do all those things. And of course, a qualified person in a business situation, of course. But I was wondering, if you have if you're working from home, should you have a VPN, a virtual um, a virtual network that you use for the home?
Great question. Absolutely, Gwen. You should have a VPN, is for short, virtual private network. We definitely recommend that as well.
Okay, thank you.
And we
Excuse me,
yeah.
what is that? What is the VPN? What is that?
So VPN is going to be a secure connection between several connections. So for example, let's go to corporate America. Let's say that you work in the office 2 days a week and 3 days you work from home. And most people are doing that a lot now since COVID. Okay, so you have a laptop, you take the laptop into the workplace, and then you're using that laptop. Okay, so you're in there. Now you come home, you go, and then you say, well, I want to go to the coffee shop and work today. Okay, well, they're not going to allow you to connect back to their network that's at work unless you have VPN services installed on your computer and working. So they can go on the back end and say, okay, anytime Lynette connects to this computer, she has to connect with this software to make sure that it's a secure connection. And so in essence, it's making sure that you don't have a connection that's insecure. It's also similar to going to a hotel. You know how a lot of times we go to a hotel and we use the free Wi-Fi, or anywhere we go for that matter, we use the free Wi-Fi. I suggest you not do that unless you have VPN software installed on your computers. And what that does is it hides your IP address, which is the way hackers get in. It hides that address from them from being able to intercept what you're doing. Does that explain your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we have, this thing keep going. Multi-factor authentication. We talked about that briefly. We want to talk about that again. So some of the things we talked about, password managers, we want to make sure that you have multi-factor authentication in place. Encryption, we talked about that. Backups, we talked about that briefly. So multi-factor authentication, most of us already know what that is. It's basically multiple ways to say that you can access an account. So a lot of times, if you already do not have multi-factor authentication on anything, and also let me go back a second. Since I mentioned to you, emails is the #1 way that people are hacked, clicking on something in an email. We recommend you have a business email address. Okay, if you do not have a business email address, then you potentially, I mean, a lot of people use their Gmail, personal Gmail, they use Hotmail, they use AOL. You'll be surprised of what Yahoo, everything they're using. We recommend you do not do that, that you have a business email address, because we can't secure personal email address, but we can secure the business email addresses. So we recommend that you get those in place immediately. So multi-factor authentication. You go into a bank account, and any personal side and business, we recommend you have this. If there's a site that you're going to on a regular basis, we want you to make sure that you enable multi-factor authentication. You want to put your username in there. Most of the time it's your email address. So if everybody mostly is using the email address, well, the hacker already has one part of what they need. They got the email address. So if they say, okay, well, now all I got to do is find out what the password is if you don't have multi-factor authentication. So in multi-factor authentication is basically, I put my email address in, I put my password in, and most of you have a phone or some type of device that you put in, you go to, and they send a code to it, and you put that code in there. Now, a lot of times people say, well, and this goes back to the VPN. Well, I don't have a lot that I have to worry about. I mean, I don't need to protect my phones, do I? Well, you don't? Well, what are you using to get the two-factor authentication or the multi-factor authentication? What are you using for that? Oh, I'm using my phone. Okay, well then your phones need to be protected as well. They need to have VPN services on it as well, especially when you're going to different places and traveling quite a bit. So multi-factor authentication is very important. It's key. It decreases your overall risk of the poor password behavior that we do sometimes. We're creatures of habit, right? So we want to make sure we have that in place. Any questions on that? All right, we have a quick quiz talking about what we just discussed. We talked about encryption, we talked about multi-factor authentication, we talked about firewall, we talked about password managers. Which one of these do you currently use or are considering for your business? Okay, so majority of MFA, multi-factor authentication, that's great. Okay. All right, that's great job. All right. So we see that on a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared do you feel your business is potential cybersecurity threats in the next year? Does your business allocate a specific budget for cybersecurity? Most people are saying no, not until next year. Okay, that's good. All right, so where do we leave from here? What's next? If I can give you any piece of information, I would say that you would need to definitely schedule a risk assessment test. And you want to make sure that you may say, well, what's that? Why do I need that? Well, again, we don't know what you don't know. So you don't know what's already in your system or in your environment. You don't know what could be good, could be bad, could be you already have IT people, but do you know that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing? Did they talk to you about any of what we talked about today when it comes to FTC new rules and regulations that covers automobile company manufacturers? It covers financial services. And like I say, financial services is wide and broad. It includes real estate industry, any industry that is not governed by the SEC. So investors, some investors are also included, but it's a specific type of investors. So you have to really learn more about what that rule entails. And this risk assessment will at least start you out with find out what weak spots are you having in your firm's security posture, to measure the compliance of it and test your staff's awareness of the security issues and determine whether or not or how the organization would be subject to security disasters. And that's what we call a pen test. We would do a pen test to start. Any questions on that? All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming. I'm gonna leave this up for a little bit so we could have everybody who attended today. Thank you for your time. Because you could have been doing other things with your time, and we know we all busy. And I appreciate you for your time today. So as a result, I have some free or complimentary gifts for you. The FTC rules, compliance, and the cybersecurity tips as a whole. If you scan this here, You should be able to download 2 files, and it'll go more into detail as to what other industries are covered under the FTC financial services rules and regulations. And as always, it's my pleasure. Any last questions?
Yeah, how do we schedule some time to talk with you?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so just I will just private chat me, and then I'll
Okay.
send you some information.
Good.
Okay. And then I have a special prize for someone. Let's see who that's gonna be. Melvin, are you gonna help me out with that?
Well, we have
The
what?
special prize, one person gets to win.
Oh, how do they win? Is there? Oh, you want me to? Oh man, you only have one. don't put me in the middle of this stuff. Listen, so I would say, wow. I was gonna put a question out there, but multiple people might know the right answer.
Let me
So-
check. Let me see the poll as well. Let me check that and see
Who
won that.
who like yeah, like who participated in terms of answering those questions? Or is that like multiple people? But at least we could get down to like a couple of, like a couple or 3 people. And then
We had a lot of interaction. I appreciate everyone.
it's too hard for
Let's
me.
see here. Let's see here. The one participated the most.
Bill Best.
Let's see who the winner is. Okay, Philip, I got you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, we see here. Let's see here. Who is the winner? Of the quiz. Okay, let's see here. We have any questions that I didn't go over, that last minute questions before we got 4 minutes here.
Okay.
Going once, going twice.
Great information, Lynette. It's the stuff that we need, obviously. So, man, knowledge. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank everyone for attending this session. We actually have another great one tomorrow. I don't know if some of the same folks are going to be able to show up. That one is actually on AI. So, yeah, we're kind of back to back with the good stuff. All right.
All right, so I have the winner being the young lady that was on the phone or driving. What's your name again, ma'am? Is she still on? Okay, well.
Her name was Janelle. Yeah, it was Janelle. I think it was Janelle.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's Janelle?
That was definitely Janelle.
Okay, she's left for the day. Okay. Okay, get me her
Yeah,
information.
I think she typed in a message saying she had to leave.
Okay, got you. Okay, no worries.
Yeah, Lynette, I don't know if anybody else having this problem, but I'm completing the complimentary form,
Mhm.
and it's not although I'm entering all the information, it should not allow me to submit. Anybody
Are
else
you doing
having a
it on the
problem?
computer? Are you doing it on the computer?
No, I'm doing it on my phone.
On the phone. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, let me say this. Everybody do it on your computer. It's better because you got to download 2 files and it's going to take you to Dropbox. And so the 2 files, you'll download them from there. So it's best to do it on the computer.
Okay.
And then let me know if there's a problem when
I
you get on.
can't. So on my phone, I ran into the same thing, but I'm connected to you now through my tablet, and on my desktop, I don't have you on there. So how am I gonna do it? I can't do it on the phone. How am I gonna do it on my tablet? Can you just put a link in the chat or something?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay,
Let's
hold
do
on.
that. I'm glad the other person spoke up. I gave up. I tried it on the phone, then I said, okay, well, it's not working.
Okay, no problem. Sorry about that. I should have said do it on the computer. All right, so here's the link for you to do it. Okay,
Cool.
everybody should see that link. I
Got
should
it.
get you there as well. Okay.
Got it. Great presentation, Lynette. Good stuff.
Thank you very much, Philip. It's been wonderful. I appreciate everybody for interacting today.
It was good
Fantastic.
information.
Lynette, I did it on my phone, but I have Dropbox, so it worked well for me.
Okay, thank you, Gladys. Appreciate it. For that feedback. So I know I tested it, so I was like, I'm not sure if it'll work. Pretty much, because it has to download the 2 files and they are PDFs, so more than likely wouldn't work right on the phone. And so y'all should be able to capture that. I put it in there. It's the same equivalent link.
Got it.
Awesome. And Philip, I will be in touch with you.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good
Bye.
one.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye, Melvin.
Yeah, Lynette, thank you so much. I had a 12:30 call come in, so
Oh, no worries.
yeah. Okay,
All right,
great.
thanks, sir.
Great session. All right. Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. All right, bye.